Right, so welcome everyone. And there have been some interesting sessions since the morning, and I can see a lot of you joined those sessions as well. And this is the second last session, and there will be one more session at 10 p.m. after this. So do join for that one as well. Right, so let's start with the session, and let me introduce myself. Let me quickly see if my screen is visible. Yes, everybody can see that. And in case you have any question, please put that in the chat window. I'll try to answer your questions along with the session, or in the end, we'll have a Q&A session for 10 minutes. We'll answer all the questions at that time. So let me introduce myself. My name is Shivam Sharma. Microsoft Azure is one of my primary cloud. I help customers with consulting and training services and the field of DevOps, data science, machine learning, basically architecting on Azure. I have various certifications in Microsoft Azure. I also work in Google Cloud Platform, and I'm also Microsoft certified trainer and co-founder at TechScalable. So at TechScalable, we provide training and consulting services to the customers. You can go and check out our website and read more about us. And we expertise in DevOps, Microsoft Azure, data science, Docker, machine learning, and Kubernetes. So that is something in which we work on. So what is the agenda of this session? I basically have twofold agenda over here. So we will be talking about custom AI solutions on Microsoft Azure, how to create them. So since the morning, we had many sessions on Microsoft Azure AI services, which were basically in the field of cognitive services, which are pre-built AI, or they were in the field of conversational AI. This is the first session on custom AI as such. So we'll see how can we create these custom AI solutions. That's the first fold as such. And the second one will be, we'll discuss how to build a career in data science. And we'll understand a difference between data science and machine learning first, then how to create a career in data science or machine learning basically. And there are two certifications from Microsoft, DP100 and AI100. We'll discuss what is the difference between them and which one can you target based on your job profile. And in the end, we'll have a Q&A session for 10 to 15 minutes. I also have a couple of demos for you. And in case I get more time, I'll show you more demos as well. Right, so this is basically what we are discussing. And let's start from let me give you understanding of the amount of data which we are generating every day. So this is to bring you into perspective that how important data science is. And I'll definitely define what is data science versus AI versus machine learning, because that is something which I always hear from participants, that what is the difference between them. And if I'm working on data science, that where is the machine learning into it, and so on and so forth. So we'll differentiate all of that, right? From a developer's point of view, how the machine learning is different from traditional programming, we'll see that as well. So first of all, let's establish that how much data are we generating. So this is one infographic which I have from Rakentor, and this infographic is from 2019. And if I just read you the infographic, we are generating 294. So everything is per day. So 294 billion emails were sent in one day in 2019. 500 million tweets, 4 petabytes of data was created on Facebook, which included images and other content. 65 billion WhatsApp messages were sent every single day. 95 million photographs and videos were shared on Instagram. 28 petabytes of data was generated from Fitbit type devices. 3.5 billion searches were made through Google every single day, right? So this is all the details from 2019 for every single day, the amount of data which we are generating. And by 2025, the amount will be 263 exabyte. Exabyte is 1 followed by 18 zeros as such, which is a huge number, right? So we are generating huge amount of data. So if I bring you to what is data science, let's clarify that. What's a data science, and we'll compare this with AI and ML and so on and so forth. So what is data science basically? Now it's a field of study that combines the domain expertise, programming skills, knowledge of mathematics, statistics. You have to extract meaningful insights from raw data. So as a data science practitioner, what you will do, you will apply machine learning algorithms to sort to all type of data, structured or unstructured. The data might be numeric, text, images, audio, video. Why do we do that? So we can produce these artificially intelligent systems. So these AI systems will be uh, extracting that information from the raw data, which will be in different forms. Now, what is these AI systems? They try to mimic human behavior. So now, if I just differentiate between what is data science, AI, machine learning, and deep learning, this is something which I'm asked every time as such. So AI is a technique, you can say, or a set of techniques which enable the computer to mimic a human intelligence, including logic and decision making. Machine learning is a subset of AI where statistical methods are used, and these using these statistical methods, we train the computer, we train the machines, and with the help of data, and they learn some rules out of it. I'll further explain that. And what is deep learning? Deep learning is a further one field of machine learning where we have artificial neural networks along with it, right? So in Microsoft Azure, what are the AI services which we have talked till now? Basically, if you bifurcate the AI services in three sections, we have three type of services in Azure: pre-built AI, conversational AI, and custom AI. Pre-built AI are the cognitive services which you have learned. There were some amazing sessions in the starting uh, from Firoz, from Manoj, uh, and they covered cognitive services in depth, right? There are 28 type of cognitive services, and using them we can integrate those services into our solution, and our products become AI enabled. Conversational AI is where we create chatbots, or we create bots, and we have channels, and various channels are where your customers are. So we integrate these bots with the channels, and we interact with our customers, right? Now, so these two things have already been covered in the morning. So I'm gonna focus on custom AI solution. So what is custom AI? What is Azure Machine Learning Service? How do we create these custom models using Python, using R, using the designer over there? So I'll cover basically all of that, right? So that's what we are focusing on. Now, before I take you over there, let's understand the difference between a traditional program versus a machine learning when we do machine learning. So in a traditional programming, what do? We have data. We already know the rules, and we have data, rules, and we get the output out of it. In machine learning, what do? We don't know the rules as such. So what do? We have a training data set. We provide the output. There is one algorithm which is learning the rules, and this is basically supervised learning, which I'm explaining. So with this, the algorithm, it basically learns some weights, and those weights is what we call as a trained model. And once these rules are learned, we take this trained model and we deploy this in production. Maybe we first test it out and then we deploy in production if it is sufficient, if it is performing sufficiently. And we pass unseen data through this trained model. And if our training has been done correctly, we'll get the outputs which are optimal as such. So this is basically the flow of machine learning from the point of view of programming. Now, when to use machine learning? This is something which we don't talk a lot about because machine learning, AI, data science, these are very popular terms. So we, as an entrepreneur, also when we try to sell a product, we try to say that it is AI enabled product, right? So is machine learning the solution for everything? Not really. So if you have a problem statement where you can define the steps, you know the predefined steps are there, you have an algorithm with you, you know what has to be done step by step, then there is no need of machine learning. So the question comes then, okay, so then when do we use machine learning basically? So one thing which comes to mind is that when we don't know the rules, for example, like as a human being, you know that which email is a spam email from your point of view, and which email is more like not spam and should go to your inbox. So based on different, you can say different people, different professionals, the rules may be different. So when we don't know the rules, when they are not very simple, that's one place where we want one algorithm to be learning the rules from the previous data set, And once the rules are learned, we may have a classifier which can do the spam or not spam classifier, which may work better. So this is one thing where we can apply the machine learning rules. Secondly, if you have huge amount of data, then also you require machine learning. For example, there are millions and millions of data points, and as a human being, you cannot go through that millions and millions of data points. So that's also one more place where machine learning can be used to help us out in that. Now, so this is basically when to use machine learning, right? So let's jump into it. Let's go a little more in custom AI. How do we create custom AI solutions? What is custom AI solution? What are the various bits and pieces of a custom AI solution? So check this out. So this is one example of a data set, and I have some rows and columns over here. So these columns are basically, we call them attributes, and whatever we are trying to find, we call that as a target attribute. So and these rows are observations. So little terminology over here, because we will be focusing. Check this out. So this, you see this column, that's a little important one. Like if you have a target attribute, so what is a target attribute? Something which you are trying to figure out. You want the machine to learn that target, that how to find that target attribute in future. If you have previous data, how to find that in future. Now, what do I do? I basically, when I train my machine learning model, we break this data set into multiple pieces can be there. So two pieces you can see on the screen right now. I have a training set, I have a testing set. With the training set, I train that model. I force the algorithm to learn the rules by that training set. With the testing set, I basically test my models, whether they are working uh, optimal or not, whether it's satisfactory or not. And if it is satisfactory, we can further think of putting this into production, and we can further do more comparison as such. So little understanding of training and testing set. Now please focus on this part, right? So we have our target attribute. Now, when we have these algorithms, basically they are families of algorithm. So three families of algorithm. I'm very positive you all must have heard about them before: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, right? So it basically, you can say, if you have the target attribute in the data set, then we can apply supervised family of algorithms. And how many algorithms might be there in supervised family? Thousands of algorithms will be there. In our unsupervised learning, thousands of algorithms might be there, right? So supervised learning we apply when we have target attribute in the data set. You have something for reference. We also call the target attribute as label, as target label. uh, we call that one column, let's say, as a target label. So what is unsupervised? When we don't have the target attribute, we perform unsupervised learning algorithms on it, and that's how we work with it. What is semi-supervised? When we have a mixture of both of them. So some of your data is having some, you have a data set where you have a mixture of the first and the second problem. You have some data where there is a target attribute, and you have a lot of data where there is no target attribute. And you basically are trying to figure out that you are trying to figure out the target attribute on that unlabeled data, which doesn't have it. So these are the basically three families of algorithm. There are more families as well, and one of my favorite families is reinforcement learning. Now in reinforcement learning, what happens? Uh, there is one environment and there is an agent. So imagine in whichever room you are sitting right now, imagine you are the agent, right? And whatever is apart from you, whatever is there will be part of the environment. Now in reinforcement learning, what happens? The agent takes one action in the environment. So what are these actions? For example, if I think about you right now, wherever you are sitting or you are at home, you have some possible set of actions. You may take one step ahead, you may take two steps, you may go on the left side, back, north, south, diagonals, and so on and so forth. Possible actions are there. So in the environment, the agent will take a possible action, right? You cannot fly, so that's not a possible action. And the environment will give you some reward back, and it will give you the next state back. So in reinforcement learning, basically the machine is learning by trial and error, by interacting with the environment. And reinforcement learning is something which is most similar to how you have learned everything in your life. Whether you learned how to drive a car, you did some actions, and based on the you can say feedback you are getting from whether you are hitting the car somewhere or not, you adjust yourself, right? So reinforcement learning is something which we all have been doing since childhood. And one little example over here, check this out. So if I apply reinforcement learning to Mario, what will happen? The Mario over here will act like an agent, and the entire everything apart from that you see is over here is part of the environment. And what is the reward over there? Reward can be the score. So if I train a reinforcement learning agent to play Mario game, the reward function will have something like maximize the score. So the agent will try to do all those tasks, all the trial and errors, and finally it will be able to learn all the weights, which will make sure that every time when it plays uh, these agents, they even defeat human beings, right? So AlphaGo, you must have heard about, uh, and there are multiple examples where Dota was one game which was being played, and it was able to defeat the world champions and so on and so forth. So these agents very quickly they become far better than human beings in learn when to play these environments and so on and so forth. So this is a little bit about reinforcement learning. Now, what other tasks can I do with machine learning? We can do anomaly detection, right? Anomaly detection is where basically you are doing a credit card fraud detection. Maybe your company, credit card company, it analyzes your pattern. So in case they figure out that the card is being swiped from a location which doesn't matches your pattern, or it's being swiped right now, and the algorithm flags it that okay, this doesn't seems to be like Shivam. So if something like that happens, that's anomaly detection. So we have those type of algorithms in Azure which we can apply. uh, Classification can be there. So classification is basically what we are just talking about, spam versus not spam type of classification. Whether this coupon will get you more customers or not. Any type of classification is going on. What else do I have? We have regression algorithms are there. So regression algorithms are when we try to find a numerical value. So in this example, if you see, we are trying to figure out the weather on Tuesday, what temperature will be there. So what will be your sales in the next quarter? What's the forecasting of the sales, like that. So these are part of regression algorithms. So as part of customized solution, you have to work with all of them. We can also apply clustering. Clustering is unsupervised learning where we don't have the target attribute. We basically can apply clustering on that. And these cluster will have similar data points. So this is a little bit about how machine learning tasks, when you work with custom AI, it works in that manner. So what is a model building process? If I take you further to what is a process by which I create a machine learning model. So we get the raw data, and we apply these pre-processing tasks on the data, and we process this data. You might be doing cleaning of the data, normalization of the data, and many imputation of the data, and everything will be done by a data science practitioner as such. So once the data has been processed, we'll apply the machine learning algorithms, and you know that we have thousands and thousands of algorithms, right? So just hang into that word. We'll come back to that how can we select the best optimized algorithms at time. And for example, let's say in this point in time, you figured out, okay, maybe these four algorithms are, they are, they give me, so what is a candidate model? Candidate model means that I may be thinking, okay, this is a supervised learning algorithm. I want to apply regression, but there are 7 type of regression algorithms available. So I tried 4 type of algorithms, and I have 4 candidate models with me. So I will then what we'll do, we'll do a testing on that. So whichever model is the best one, that best model is what we'll select, and we'll take it further. And if it is doing great, if it is working out, then we'll definitely deploy that into production, and we'll expose APIs, and we'll consume the model. So that is where operationalization of model comes into picture. Okay, so this is a little basic understanding of how a machine learning flow will look like. It's a generic flow based on various tasks which we are doing. Some things here and there changes. And now let's come to custom AI solutions. And let's map whatever we have talked about with Azure. How does it happens in Microsoft Azure platform? So something like this, 3 sections. The first part, you already know that we have pre-built AI, conversational AI, and as part of custom AI, we have Azure Machine Learning Service where we are focusing right now. Now Azure also provides us infrastructure where I can keep my data. So if I want some global planet scale databases, multi-write databases, uh, multimodal databases, we have Cosmos DB. You can select that your data might be over there. You may have MySQL, you have PostgreSQL databases, your data might be inside that. Azure SQL DB is always obviously there, and it's a platform as a service offering. You can also use Synapse. Synapse is a warehouse where you can do parallel processing. Data lake is something which imitates a Hadoop file system, and there is no upper limit of data lake. You can keep on throwing data. So as a data scientist, when I work with big amount of data, data lake is one of the location where I want my data to be kept, because it's also, you can say, brings down the cost, and then we can do transformations and so on and so forth. What else do I have? If we work with, let's say, real-time data, uh, one of the thing which is go-to in the market is called as Spark. We want any Spark-based machine learning to be done. So in Azure, we can create HD Insight clusters can be created with Spark basically installed on it. So we can do some real-time analytics. We can do real-time machine learning on that. DSVM is there. DSVM stands for Data Science Virtual Machine. Basically, it's a VM which is having everything installed which a data scientist need to do his task, including Anaconda, RStudio, SQL servers, and every TensorFlow, Keras, Jena, PyTorch, everything is installed basically, really like that. And huge amount of RAM is also there. We can go for GPU-based clusters as well, DSVM as well, where we can perform our task faster altogether. Databricks is a Spark cluster, which is also a go-to solution in Microsoft Azure. AKS is a, you can say, Azure Kubernetes Services is where you might be deploying your trained model. I'll bring you back to this. How do we do a deployment into AKS? And IoT Edge, in case you want to run the solutions locally on the edge device, we can also do that. Now, what tools is available as part of customized solution? You can use your favorite tools. VS Code can be used. Jupyter Notebooks can be used. PyCharm can be used. You can use your best whichever framework you like. You like scikit-learn a lot. Maybe you like Carrot in R, TensorFlow, PyTorch, Jena, Cognitive Toolkit, and so on and so forth. All the frameworks are supported. We can create our custom solutions. Let me quickly just show you what do I mean by customized as such. Let me just give you a quick walkthrough so we can have some understanding of how does it look like. So basically, I have all the tabs open with me. What I have done, I have deployed this machine learning service. How to deploy? I think that's not a, you can just simply click on this, create a resource, and just search for machine learning over there. And simply just click on the first option which pops up. Right. So let's say machine learning, and just click on this this icon and create the workspace. So the workspace will be ready, which will look something like this. Right. Notice these parts. I'll explain them further. We have experiments, pipeline, compute, models, images, deployments. Activities are basically whatever you are doing over there. Now, there is a new look of the studio also available. So if I click on this launch option, it basically opens the studio in a new UI, which looks a little more, you can say, a little better than the previous one. And it is having those same options and slightly different as well. It's like notebooks are there, design, and I'll show that to you. Data set, experiment, pipelines, model, endpoints, compute, data labeling, data store. What are these basically? Let's understand what are these basically. So this is how a machine learning service workspace is created. This is also called as a workspace. So this is where I will have everything in one place, and I might be doing multiple type of algorithms. I might be doing deep learning. So I might have multiple experiments over there. The first experiment might be deep learning. The second one might be a CNN model might be there, or we are creating something in classical machine learning. So all these experiments will be there. So whatever you see on the screen, that's more like a workspace, which brings everything together into one location. Let's understand a little more in depth. I have a diagram which I created for you, and this is, I think, better than the slides itself. So let's not do a death by slide and check this out. So over here, as a data scientist, what do we need? Let me explain that. So imagine that's where you are, and you're a data scientist, and you basically want to do you want to create some models, right? So you open your laptop, and you want to use your basically your whichever IDE you like. Maybe it's Jupyter Notebook, maybe it's Visual Studio, or maybe it's VS Code, and so on and so forth. So you open this. Now you need, the second thing you need will be data, right? So if you're using your laptop and so on and so forth, you can imagine that there is a upper limit of the data which you can put in your basically for the experiment purpose. You cannot put terabytes and terabytes of data in your laptop. And if I train a model, if I select an algorithm, let's say I use one algorithm, whichever algorithm comes to my mind, which is more relevant to this problem statement, which we are solving. So we have data, we take one algorithm, and this is a compute cluster, right? So compute, basically your laptop is acting like a compute right now, where the algorithm will be training, right? So as a data scientist, you might be having, okay, I need data. I need some location where I can train my solutions, and then I'll do my trial and error. I'll try multiple algorithms, and it's going to work out. Now check out what machine learning service provides you. So this is our little workflow, or whatever I showed you in the portal. This is what that looks like if I just create a diagram out of this. So what do I have over here? Sorry, I think I moved it. Check this out. So we have the first concept which we have is called as a data store. So what is a data store? Data store is any data location in Microsoft Azure can act like a data store. So basically we can have a storage account as a data store. Storage account is blob storage over there, or it's an object store example. We may have a data lake, which is a data store where my huge amount of data might be lying. It might be lying in a storage account as well. It might be an SQL server, it might be in Postgres and MySQL and so on and so forth, or it might be like a file location. So my data might be in these Azure oriented locations. Now, using this data store, we create a thing called as a data set, right? Now, you can directly work with a data store also. However, we can also work with a data set. Difference between a data store and a data set is more like data set is something which you will be able to further call by the name itself. You don't have to provide the connection string and so on and so forth. So basically, you do one extra step and you register the file which might be over here in the data store. Let me just quickly select this. So there is a file over here. So this you might register as a data set. So you don't have to give the connection string and so on and so forth. Less amount of code might be there. So that's basically what a data set looks like. We have tabular and file type of data set. Difference is basically in case you want to create a pandas data frame afterwards, we use a tabular data set. If we have, for example, lots of files, we make a file data set. What we do with this? So once your data is there, the next thing which our data scientists require is a compute target. So compute target is equivalent to your you can say where you were training your models earlier in your laptop. Now you can train your models in these locations. You can still train this in the local in the laptop as well. However, you can train this in Azure Databricks, which is Spark cluster. HD Insight, you can have 100 node cluster and so on and so forth. So huge amount of compute can be provided to you if you are working on huge amount of data as such. So I can also do the training in a thing called as HPC cluster, high performance computing. I might be using some Azure words, and if you are not comfortable with Azure words, some of these things might not click very quickly, right? So this is basically high performance computing, parallel processing is going on. Or we can create those Azure VMs and we can train our models in these locations as such. So your data is in cloud, your compute clusters are in cloud, and once your model has been trained, you can register these models. So what do I mean by register model? For example, let's say you were training model number 1, model number 2. Model number 1 is having run 1, maybe it is having run 2. Various versions might be there. So these model after training, we can keep them in Azure Machine Learning Service. So we have sort of a version control going on, which is inbuilt in the machine learning service altogether. So with these models, what do I do? So one of the good things which Azure Machine Learning Service provides is that once these models have been trained, you can move these models as you can write them into you basically create Docker images out of it. So this is a Docker image over here. In this Docker image, this is your trained model. All the dependencies required to run this afterwards will be there, and there is a score file. Score file means that afterwards, when it is deployed in production, when the data comes, when the input data comes, unseen data, how data will go inside and how the call will happen and so on and so forth. So score file is where we define all the things. So once this model has been, you can say, written in a Docker image, we can deploy them. So we deploy these in deployment targets like that. So we have multiple deployment targets. We can deploy solutions in IoT Edge itself. We can deploy on a Kubernetes cluster. We can deploy, in case you don't want a full-fledged cluster, you can deploy as in container instances where basically you can say that there is orchestration is not there. You can directly run your containers over there. We can also deploy this as an Azure function. What is Azure function? Just in the morning, if you remember, you were talking about Logic App. There was a session on Logic App. That was an example of serverless. This is the other example. So this is where we don't have a UI, but we can write a custom code. So these models can be deployed as part of functions as well, which can be exposed as APIs. So we can do API calls to score against these models. And we can obviously deploy the solutions in as a web app. in case we don't need any other solution, the app service plan in Azure is obviously over there. So what is machine learning service? So if I really define what is Azure machine learning service, which provides me this option to create custom models, machine learning service is a service which stitches everything together. So it provides a data scientist all these things. And one of the best thing it does it that this data scientist don't even need to go to various solutions. So what this person requires is whichever IDE he likes. For example, this is a, let's say, a Jupyter notebook which I have over here. So he might be doing this in his laptop, right? So in this Jupyter notebook, he will say, okay, cell number one, I want to create a, let's say, Azure machine learning workspace. So he created a workspace. Do we create a workspace every time? No, we basically create it once and all the colleagues will be using it like that, right? But let's say this guy is doing for the first time. So we create this AML workspace. Once this is created, the second step might be, okay, he's saying that my data is in that SQL server and I'll register this SQL server as a data store. So he might be getting his data in the second step, let's say data store. If he wants, he can also register the data in the data set. So he don't have to give longer, you can say he doesn't have to write longer scripts. He basically can just refer to the name of the data set, and because it is already registered, so it will automatically will be available to load. So he can also register this in the, as a data set over here. So this is data set. Now he can say that, okay, I want a compute cluster. I want a 20 node compute cluster. So as soon as he runs this one particular cell, one compute cluster of his choice will be created in Azure Cloud. So what is going on from his perspective? He's just running this one notebook over here and everything is happening in Azure. All the orchestration is happening in Azure just like that. So Azure machine learning service, which let us create these custom models, is an uh, basically it's service which stitches everything together into one pipeline. Now what else will be there? So once the model, he will provide his training script. So what is the training script is where the algorithm comes into picture, whether it's supervised learning, unsupervised learning, everything like that. It's where he will write that. And then what he can do a run of this. So when I say run of this, what happens? This script, the train.py file, basically the file where all your algorithm part is written, that is submitted to run. So when he runs this, what happens? Data comes from here and the file whatever he has written this part, it comes from here. We can upload that also, and both of them come and the training starts in these compute targets. And afterwards, once the training has been finished, he can download the model as well, or he can simply register the model. So if he register this model, the model will be registered in this registry over here, and he can in future he can refer to these models and colleagues can check this out. And basically we need a version control on the models as well, right? Because in a large team, hundreds of people will be working with it, so we need a version control altogether. Now, once that is there, you can also create one Docker image out of it. So Docker image is something which AML service will be able to create if you provide an environment file. Environment file is where we provide whatever is installed, is supposed to be installed in the Docker image. We can simply specify that, okay, I want scikit-learn to be there. I want TensorFlow to be there. So once you run this file, this image will be created for you, this one over here. And whatever you have specified will be installed, all the dependencies installed. These are Docker images. They are not running right now, right? And then if required, this person can also just deploy from here. He can say, okay, I want to deploy this and just create me a ACI instance and deploy it over there, or maybe a function and deploy it over there. So this will automatically will go and will be deployed in ACI instance, and one URL will be given to him for API calls afterwards. So this is basically what Azure Machine Learning Service does, brings everything together for a data scientist to create his custom AI solutions in any of his programming language. He can use Python, he can use R as well. And we also have a designer available. So in case, what is the meaning of designer? I'll show that to you. Let me quickly explain over here. So this is where I'm writing a Python or maybe a R code like this. We have one more option where we create a designer like this. There is a drag and drop option, and you can create your entire logical flow with this drag and drop option. And once you, it does the same thing. Once we run this, it is running on the same compute cluster. We can do the model registry as well, creating of images and so on and so forth. So there is a designer where we can drag and drop and create a solution like that. So machine learning service enables a data scientist to work with that huge amount of data on cloud scale It has inbuilt version control. Uh, we can create images over there. We can deploy solutions. It brings everything together into one, you can say, service like that. And the best part, we can also put this inside the virtual network, which every company in production will do. We put things into virtual network so we can apply network security groups on that, and we have further control on the solution. So machine learning service which creates custom solution is a combination of all the things together for a data scientist to use. So he can prepare his data, he can build and train, and he can deploy his solutions into various locations out there, right? So let's go and check out a little more about what we just discussed, right? Let's see how does this designer looks like. What is this? How can I create a notebook? And basically the flow of a notebook like that, right? So let me quickly find the Azure portal. Okay, so I think the portal is over here. Check this out. So let me show this to you. Now, I have these three options with me. There is a notebook option, there is a automated AutoML option over here. We'll come to that, and designer is there. So notebook is where we create these notebooks, Python or R oriented notebooks, and we work with that. So what example do I have for you? Can I show you one example? Check this out. I have a diagram over here. Let me quickly just go back and open a diagram over here. Okay, that looks great. So check this out. So, for example, how your flow will of a custom AI solution will look like. You will have a data set, right? So the data set which I'm using is called as PIMA diabetic data set. It's a real data set which is basically PIMA Indian people are there. It's we call them river people as well. You can Google up for them. So this data set has been collected from them. This data set is having these columns: pregnancies, plasma glucose level, blood pressure, tricep thickness, serum body mass index, diabetic pedigree, age, and so on and so forth. And finally, there is a target attribute over here, which is called as class, that whether this person is having diabetes or not. So 1 is diabetic, 0 is not diabetic. So if you have an existing data set, something which looks like that, how do we train a model? We break this data set into two pieces. So we have a training data set and we have a testing data set, right? So I'm showing it over here because in the code, it might not be that interactive to look at, and if you're not comfortable with custom AI solution, it might not even make sense, right? So we'll have training data set, we'll have test data set, and we'll have these data frames over there: X train, Y train, X test, Y test. So what's the meaning of all that? With this X test and X train and Y train, basically we are training the algorithm, and with the X test and Y test, afterwards, when the algorithm has been trained, we will be doing a testing on it. If it performs good, amazing. If it doesn't perform good, we'll do some parameter tuning. We'll do that. So what is the algorithm which we are creating, which we are using? So this is a classification example, and the type of algorithm which is used is called as logistic regression as such, which is a classification algorithm. There is a functional form of it. Don't worry, right now it's not, we won't be going in mathematics, but we can. So it's a functional form is something like this. And finally, how does the decision boundary looks like? The boundary will be something which is like which looks something like that, right? Now, what is basically going on? Let me make it. Let's come back and let's practically do it first, right? So let's go to Azure portal, and I have this over here. I can create these notebooks. So where is this notebook running? Is it running in my laptop? No. There is a thing called as so when you create it for the first time, let me show it to you. So when we create for the first time, we have to, and let's wait for it to load first. Then I can show this to you. In case in the meantime, if you have any question in the chat window, just put that. Right. So let's wait for it to load. Let's see. Oh, great. Check this out. Now, for the first time when we run it, we have to create this VM over here. So what is this notebook running on? See, in case you don't want to use your laptop for writing that Jupyter notebook, you want that I want a workstation in cloud. I don't want to use my laptop. I want to keep the entire code in cloud as well. So what do? We create this VM, and this notebook will be running inside that virtual machine, and we can shut down the virtual machine afterwards, but this notebook will be even available after that. So once I create this notebook, we can simply edit this in Jupyter. You can also do it over here inline, but Jupyter Notebook is more comfortable. So let's say we open this, it might authenticate, and finally it will open up, something like that. So this is where we are loading the libraries. And when we install these libraries, right now these libraries are being installed in this VM, right? Which VM is over there? In that VM, it will be installed like that. So next time when you start the VM and the notebook is there, then you basically everything is pre-installed. Now, what are we doing? We have this data set where we can see like we do this. We have loaded this data set from you can say it's already inbuilt and in scikit-learn basically. So we are using it from the data set is actually in the different folder over there. I think I have uploaded this before. So there's a CSV file we are reading, and this is how the data set looks like. Now check this out. So we are talking about those X-train, Y-train, X-test, and Y-test. So this is where we are breaking that into these four pieces in a ratio of 7:3. And for this, scikit-learn comes for our help. What is this seed value? Seed value is basically if you want to repeat the, for example, let's imagine like this. I did something in my laptop, it's working great, but afterwards, my boss comes into picture and he says that, okay, please show me what you did. So if I cannot reproduce the same result, I will not look very smart in front of him. So what do we do? We put a seed value as such, so we can reproduce the same result afterwards. So basically, this is all it looks like. There is a model dot fit, and this is where the training of that model is happening, right? And once the model has been done, we are doing a sort of dot score over it. So scoring is basically where we are testing it. And what does this looks like? This is basically a thing called as confusion matrix, and 77% is the accuracy right now. It's .77 in accuracy in percentage will be 77% accurate, like that. So your model is right now correctly predicting 77 out of 100 cases which are which comes to it. Once you have done it, we can save this model as well. So right now this is not being registered into ML service. This is just locally being saved. So where is this locally being saved? It will show you something over here. Once you save this in the same directory, it will come over there. So when we run this, this will basically be in the same directory. And afterwards we can load this back and work with it. So this is basically how a Jupyter Notebook looks like when it is running in as part of AML service. Okay, what else do we have? Imagine you don't want to use a Jupyter Notebook. You want to have a designer over there. So how do we work with a designer? Check this out. So there is a little scenario over here. Imagine you create there is a website called as sellcar.com maybe, and there are sellers, they sell their car, and the buyers, they are purchasing these cars. So when the seller, they upload the picture of the car, they also upload some specification of the car. And as a seller, you will be putting some pricing on the car as well, that how much is what you are asking for, and the buyer will be purchasing that after negotiation. So your use case might be that, okay, you have given this portal, so this is where you come into picture. You can use Python notebooks or R notebooks, and you can use a thing called as designer. I'll show that to you. And with this, you can create a custom model, and this custom model, once deployed, can be scored. So what we might be doing over here, so seller will be asking the maximum possible price, and a lot of time that might not be the fair market price. So you might be providing your customer or your buyer with a service that you are forecasting or predicting the fair market price. So in the front end, basically when he uploads something, he asks one price, and you also uh, you can say uh, find a fair market price, and this buyer can do a more informed decision after that. So how do I work with this? So once we go to Azure, we can click on this designer option over here, and in this designer we can, let's say I have this already created before. So this is where I was calling as a designer. We can drag and drop these solutions from this left side. And once your machine learning flow has been correctly done, so this is where the data comes into picture. This is the data set I was showing you in the example, that, okay, this data set is having these columns, and we are trying to find the fair market price after that. So this is where I can, if I have a data set registered, I can drag and drop like this, right? So it will be over here as part of data set. If I don't have a data set, I can also get my data from a data store. I just have to give a little more connection strings and it will work over there. So here we have a regression model created. We are selecting some columns out of this data set, and missing data is being treated over here. Splitting of data set using the algorithms, training the model over here. Scoring is where the testing happens, and evaluation is where you get your matrices out of it. So once this is trained, we can submit, we can deploy this into any of the deployment targets, and it starts working with that. So this is a little bit, uh, you can say how notebooks works, how Azure machine learning service, you can create your custom solutions. So using cognitive services, you can create horizontal products. Horizontal products are basically which any company can use. Maybe it's text analytics, maybe it's sentiment analysis, maybe it's face classification like that, or object detection like that. Using custom AI solution, we create vertical products, which is specific to your use case, which you will sit and you will design it for your custom solution. So in case we are not sure with what, let's say, what type of parameters do we need to select, we can do an automated training. What is automated training? AutoML takes care of, we just have to specify the data set over which we have to do the training. And afterwards, once this data set is selected, we specify which family of algorithm we need to deploy, and that family of algorithm will be multiple algorithms will run in, of that family, and whichever is the best one after all the pre-processing of data and so on and so forth will be selected and will be automatically given to us. So automated ML is something which a lot of data scientists they use as a starting point to rule out even rule out algorithms and select the best candidate model. Okay, now, so this is a little overview of how you can say custom AI solution works in Microsoft Azure. And basically, custom solution is something where all of this model version control, model management, compute, notebook comes together, and a data scientist can use that. Now, let's talk about a data science career. How can you create your career in data science? And we are focusing on from the point of view of running, doing this on Microsoft Azure, and in generic also. So as a data science practitioner, what do we work with? We work with a lot of domains. You need to have business understanding. You need to have cloud understanding of cloud technologies, maybe Azure, maybe AWS, maybe Google Cloud Platform, maybe any other cloud as such. Databases should be something you need. You know how to work with different type of databases. Data engineering tools, ETL tools, programming skills should be there. Big data analytics, you should know how to do that, how to work with Spark, how to work with let's say Hadoop. Mathematics is important. Statistics is important. Problem solving acumen should be there. Understanding of deep learning, which algorithm to select, what is uh, machine learning, what is classical machine learning versus deep learning. So need to know all these fields. So as a data science practitioner, this is what basically we expect from someone who's working in this field should know. Now in Microsoft Azure, we have two certifications over here. We have the first certification, which is called as AI 100. AI 100 is where you can say, so if let's say if I'm a beginner, so if I have to start with AI solutions and over Microsoft Azure, then what should I do? So my starting point will be something like AI 100, where I can work with cognitive services. You have seen in multiple demos that cognitive services are something which are ready-made solutions which you create in your put in your products, and the products are now AI enabled. However, as a custom AI solution, if you want to create, you work with DP100. DP100 is for data scientists. So, and this certificate is for existing data scientists as such. So you need to have understanding of data science in generic, and you should know now how to work with Azure data science also, or you should know Azure oriented SDKs and so on and so forth to be able to work with it. So as a beginner, AI 100 is something where I can create conversational AI or custom AI, conversational AI or pre-built AI. And afterwards, maybe once we get comfortable with AI solutions, we can go for DP100 certification. We can target these certification. Are these certification something which are having value in the market? Uh, there are not many certification from any renowned cloud as such. Only these three clouds they provide them. So these certification this year will be having lots and lots of value. Maybe next year a lot of people will already be certified, so might not have that much of value. And particularly over here DP100, it's a little on the tougher side of the certification. So if you clear this certification on your own, uh, definitely you will get into the interviews, and if you have done it without any other help, you will be able to clear those interviews as well. So it's on the tougher side as such. What type of question comes in these exams? Single choice questions, case studies will be there, data science case studies will be there. On one question, multiple you can say multiple question on one problem statement, multiple questions will be asked. uh, Code snippets will be given. They won't ask you to write the code, but they will ask you to fill up the blanks in the code or select the right options in various SDKs like that, and create your current, you can say, complete the code in the correct manner. So these type of question comes, arranging in the right sequence, multiple choice questions like that. So I have I I have some articles on them. So when I cleared these certifications last year, so when they came, I think on the first day I went and I got certified in both of them. So I have these articles on medium.com. I'll just quickly put the links in the chat window in case a lot of you know. I know that you have seen them before, but they're in the chat window. These articles are where you can read more about how to have a step-by-step plan to clear these certifications. What type of questions will be coming? For example, 60 minutes will be there, 220 minutes questions will 220 minutes will be given. What type of questions are coming? uh, for example, questions, this is DP100, so questions are coming on RNN, DNN, ANN, statistics, brain script, normalization, sentiment analysis, DevOps for machine learning, which we call as MLOps now. Bandit problems will be there, stopping strategies will be there, evaluation matrices will be there, cross validation, and so on. So these are various terms in when we go for data science. We have to know these terms and we should know how to work with it. So questions will be coming on these sections. And how will you prepare for it? You can simply scroll down and there is some step-by-step links are there. On these links, you will find various, some of these links are from MS Learn. MS Learn is Microsoft's own website where you can say MS Learn is something which Microsoft is giving more like a platform where ready-made tutorials are there. You can just follow those tutorials. So a lot of those links will be there. You can go in, practice. They will give you the data set. They will give you Azure subscription as well for 2 hours to practice, and you can practice it in this environment. So step by step, this is how DP100 will look like. And if you go through all of this, you will learn a lot. And I try to keep these articles updated as well. So last update was last month, and whenever some pattern changes, I try to keep the updated pattern altogether. And for AI100 also, we have I have an article on that as well. I have two articles on AI100. So what type of question comes into this? What can you expect in the questions? So AI100 is something where you need to have more understanding of Azure, like what is stream analytics, what is data factory, what is cognitive services, how Azure function will work with this, uh, how you can make a chatbot, what is the flow of it, logging mechanism, and so on and so forth. So everything which you have learned in various sessions in the morning, uh, those are basically what is asked as such. So there is a question in the chat window that what is the difference between classical machine learning studio and Azure machine learning studio? Now check this out. So let me just answer that over here. So I think you have just pasted the question just to me, so other people might not be able to see it. So there's a question in the chat window. Check this out. So what he's asking is that there is a thing called as classical machine learning studio, right? And what I showed you was the AML service designer. AML service designer, right? So, and there is something which is called as studio.azureml.net as .com as well, I think, which we call as Azure Classical. Now we call this Classical Studio. So, what is happening right now, Prakash? What is happening right now? This is merging with that, right? So other people, those who have not seen that, might not know what I am talking about right now. Prakash, I think you will get that. So classical studio is going and everything is merging into ML service. But however, from the point of view of concept, whatever you design in the classical studio, the every single thing is available in the new designer also, right? And many more functionalities are there. So there are a lot of things which are missing in the old classical studio. For example, I cannot create a GPU machine. There were default CPU available. I cannot create my own cluster. I cannot do any other deployment apart from a web service deployment. So those were the limitation of it. And now we don't have any limitation as such. We can create GPU clusters, CPU clusters, and we can create those images and so on and so forth. So your questions, if even if you right now, because it's not totally gone, the classical studio, however, uh, the concept wise they both are exactly same, right? And there are some extra concepts over here, and the old studio is going. So for the just for the other people, let's say, what does the old portal look like? So this is studio.azureml.net. Yes, so this is the old. Let me just show you an image of it. Maybe if I can show you, if I can sign in over here. So this is called as classical studio, and it's not deprecated yet, but in some years it will be, right? Because that's the pattern which Microsoft used. We first make something like, say, classical, and then it goes. So this is what the default studio used to look like, and now the new studio is what I showed you, right? And you can have it looks basically similar to that, but this is having lesser functionalities versus over there what I was showing it to you. This is the old one. Any other question which comes to your mind, right? Any other question? Okay, so these are the various certifications you can go for, and definitely these certifications, if you clear them without any help as such, will add huge value to your resume, and will add huge value to your problem solving skills as well. Or basically, if I can put it like this as well, so if you don't know data science, you might not be able to clear them. So it will help you if you want to start your career as well in data science. It will get you those interview in the interview, and then you will be able to clear the interview afterwards with your knowledge. So basically, this is what I have for the session, and now I have this. I have you can say in AI 100 we have these sections as such: analysis of solution requirement using cognitive services. 25% of question comes on that. Designing AI solution, around 40% of questions. So in the morning, if you have seen those sessions from Feroz, from Manoj, on Lewis, and cognitive services, then this is the section you were talking about. 45% of the questions will be coming from it. And further is data logging and how to create a search, which the previous session which you saw, how to create a search solution like that. So all those things are over here. As part of DP 100, if I just talk about the how everything is broken, we create it's custom AI, so it goes more in data science and algorithms and details over there. However, I can put this like this, that Azure machine learning workspace, how to create that, how to have the SDKs, what SDKs are there, what are the various functions available, and how to run your experiments, how to train the model, how to optimize the model, how to deploy these models into various locations. So this is something which is part of DP 100 certification as such. How to use the designer, what is environment, meaning I have just given my data set, and now Azure is running 30 algorithms and finding me the best algorithm. So if I can put some termination policies that, okay, if the output is coming or if the metrics is lesser than this number, don't try this algorithm anymore. Please don't run this. Just eliminate this algorithm. So those are early termination policies which are on which multiple question comes in the certification like that. Okay, so uh, some in the Prakash is saying your Medium blog was very good. It was my first reading while preparing for dependent. I am currently okay. That's amazing. Clear the certification. Let me know in LinkedIn, right? So guys, if you have questions into uh, basically custom AI solutions or any other question which comes to your mind in terms of how to create your career in data science, please let me know. Just put that in the chat window. Even if you have any question in the technology field as such, if I know that, I can help you with that. Microsoft Learning is enough for DP100 certification. MS Learning path. Uh, okay, let me show what is the meaning of MS Learning path as well. So now if you just guys, if you just Google for MS Learn like this, you will land into a platform called as MS Microsoft Learn, and they provide these learning path over here. So if I click on browse all path, and now I click on roles, I want a data scientist as such. Now we will have around 61 output results are there. So these are labs or these are tutorials available. So if you solve these tutorials, these will give you 61 tutorials are a lot to solve, but imagine if you did all of them, I'm very positive you'll clear DP100, right? But you have to solve them without, for example, once you learn, you have to solve them without seeing. For example, problem statement is given to you, rest, just figure it out. How to load the data set, how to work with it, how to do the hyperparameter tuning over there, how to optimize the parameters, and so on and so forth. That will definitely help you with that. So this is called as MS Learn, and you can just click on, for example, if you're looking for AI100, you can click on these options, AI Engineer, and you can check out that particular path over there. How does it work over there? Any other question? Uh, my LinkedIn ID, I think you can just so this is my LinkedIn ID. You can just Google as well, Shivam Azure or something like that. This is my LinkedIn ID. You can find me there and join me, right? In case in future you guys have questions, please find me, and I generally reply to all the chat in the evening, like that, right? So over there. Okay, so this is the last session. Anything else, guys, which comes to mind, let me know. Thanks for joining, and it's a very short session, so it's just like an overview. Uh, you can further see, data science is something which takes months and months to get a hang of, maybe years at time. So don't lose heart, just start from anywhere, whichever you can say, whichever complexity or whichever difficulty you are on. Maybe you are a beginner or an intermediate or maybe advanced practitioner. So just wherever you are, just start with it, right? Because this field will be there for next 10 years, and it's you should start rather than being late. So just jump into it. So bye bye guys. Let's now I'll just put myself on mute, and I'll drop in a couple of minutes, right? In case some any question comes to your mind, do let me know.